about robots and other technologies, I agree with you. Often, too often, in our movies, we paint the bad uses of those technologies. Can be cloning or robots. Every time we see how they can be used to control the world, or to submit other people to, or will to enslave others, basically. And this is so common, isn't it? It becomes routine. You can be sure that every time there is a new technology coming up, there will be a movie about what humans can do badly, what bad things humans can do with it. What we are interested in at COPOE is to show the good uses of technology, like GM food. GM food are amazing technologies which can make a huge difference for us, instead of being always dependent as weapons, again, military weapons to destroy again. Ah, it's so it's a little bit frustrating. I think to have all this constant propaganda about the bad uses of technology, and we should all be very active to spread other visions of the planet and the uses of the technologies, like robots, to create a difference. I work on robots myself. I am building robots myself. So I know that they can be programmed in a safe way. I know that technology is not necessarily out of hand when it's done by wise people who have a good understanding of how it works. I know that there is a lot of propaganda which makes people believe it can get out of hand very quickly. That's from people who don't understand how it works. If you control your lawnmower, you know it's not dangerous because you know how it works. Well, sophisticated robot is not necessarily more dangerous than a lawnmower if you control how it works just as much. It's just a change of um, uh, of in fact, I speak a lot about that during my webinar about peace in the cyber world. So I recommend you watch that one. I believe there will be a new programming technique called open actions, which will help have transparency for what the technology is doing, so the users of the technology can understand better the consequences of their actions with it, and control it so that it is only doing what we want it to do, which is positive things. Okay? Is that clear enough?
Yes, thank you. And I'm curious about the robot you're building. What kind of robot are you building? But I'll leave after that question. I'll leave some time and space for other people to ask questions.
Hi, Elsie. Thank you so much. Thank you, Elsie, so much for your wonderful, amazing webinar. Extremely highly informative and inspirational. So I have a question about crop circles. What are your thoughts about the crop circles? And I noticed that in your slides you had a few that were extremely intricate in their design. So I just was curious about what your thoughts are on that particular topic.
Yes, crop circles, that's a good subject. Just to tell Patrick, yes, I'm building robots which are extensions of computers, and there will be a webinar probably about them next year. About crop circles, I am fascinated by the complexity and the beauty of a lot of crop circles around the world, and this is a subject that will have its own webinar in the next few months. I know a few lecturers who have a lot of knowledge of those amazing phenomena that we don't speak much about in the media. It is for me an extraterrestrial phenomenon. It is done with a technology which is not from Earth, and this webinar that I'm thinking about will prove it. So I think it's an art form, it's communication, it's a way I think extraterrestrials communicate to us their peaceful intentions to communicate with us. You know, when you communicate with art, beauty, mathematical equations, you stimulate positive emotions. You know, the fields in the crop cycles, the wheat or whatever the crops is not destroyed. It keeps growing. In fact, it grows better, healthier than the rest of the crop. It has chemical properties which are healing often. There are lots of mystery, very amazing information people don't know about crop cycles that show that whoever is making them has got a very advanced technology, much more advanced than ours on the planet, and they have peaceful intentions, and it's a matter of time before we I believe communicate even closer with these living beings, I believe. And yes, there will be a full webinar on the subject, I'm sure, very soon, the next few months. Thanks for asking. It's fascinating, and I think it could be one of the keys to building a paradise, you know, to interact with the living beings responsible for them.
Okay, here's a question. You mentioned that DNA has information in it along with instructions. I hear a lot about junk DNA. Did you think that that contained the information you were speaking of?
Okay, good question. Yeah, again, there will be a webinar specifically on this subject, I think, as well. It's a fascinating subject, the human genome, and the DNA of all living beings contain information that is fascinating. What we know about DNA, very quickly, we know that you know, the amino acids, which are the building blocks of the DNA, they are assembled in a very special way. It is like a language. They are distributed not in a random fashion, and this language has not been cracked yet. We don't know how to program a DNA yet. We know how to use parts of it and take bits and pieces. We can synthesize a DNA from scratch today. In fact, we are only a few months away from creating life from scratch. If you go to search the net for someone called Craig Venter, you will find information about how close we are from achieving life from scratch in laboratory. But really, what is all this information that is contained in our DNA is massive. It can be contained in it can be the equivalent of I think 50 Encyclopedia Britannica. It is a lot of space for information. If you believe like me that we have been created and all this coding is not the result of random evolutions like a lot of scientists want you to believe right now. If you believe that there is a designer like I do, for multiple reasons, of course, for me it's impossible to have something very sophisticated getting built by chance. So of course a designer would have put a stamp about him or her or their civilization. So I believe that definitely there is a lot of information containing about our creators or creator in our DNA. What we call junk DNA, I don't think it is junk at all. Of course, everything has a purpose in a design. If you believe in the theory of evolution, of course, you imagine that there is lots of parts that could be the unusable because you don't understand how it works. But when you have like me, an understanding that we have been created scientifically, then of course there is no junk DNA. Everything has a purpose and contains information that we will crack one day, and of course when we do so it will change completely what we believe about our purpose and how we interact in life. You know, it changes your vision of your world